when you want to talk about the music theory of Minecraft, we can highlight two songs. You got a song like Wet Hands,
Hmm.
which is minimalist, and which does not necessarily have any degree of, shall we say, storytelling in it.
Hmm.
Whereas, Skyrim's music is quite good, um, but there is the battle song
Hmm.
where people are chanting because there's a dragon, and then you have these very weird moments of disconnect where the dragon is dead, but like there's a mud crab still alive, and so the
True.
game still has the flag that you're in combat,
True.
and so it's still playing the da da da
True. True. True.
da or I guess it hasn't registered that you're fighting something. Thank you. It hasn't registered that you're fighting something, and so it's still playing like the peaceful, streets of Whiterun, but there's like a
Yeah.
murder slaughter going on in the town. Minecraft sort of avoids that by never having a battle song. There's no song that plays when a zombie attacks the village. There's no zombie theme.
Yeah, I know C418's mentioned this in interviews that when he was designing the game's music, the fact that you could jump between biomes and actions so frequently and so quickly was a reason that
Yeah.
he had to specifically not make, he had to specifically make
Yeah.
music that just fit anything.
Well, that's the thing is that it wouldn't be feasible because Minecraft is so open ended that it can't stop me from how would it mark if I was fighting something? If I go to a zombie and then hit it and then run away, would it start playing the battle theme and then stop and then start and then stop and then start and then stop?
Yeah.
You know, um, it's dumb.
And then you start mining and it just
So
plays the mining theme.
it plays some dubstep while
Running away
off
from a
camera in the
zombie,
time lapse.
you stop, you see a diamond, stop to get the diamond, to the mining theme plays for a few seconds, and you run
No,
away.
the mining theme is like dubstep that I play over my let's play like mining time lapse.
Yeah.
I did some I did some mining off camera mining music.
Yeah.
um, so in lieu of that, the game opts for a sort of minimalist, non-confrontational approach to music. It's very aesthetic. Um, I have heard the argument made that the God, what's the album called? Um,
Minecraft Alpha.
Minecraft Minecraft Volume Alpha. I've heard that Minecraft Volume Alpha is you know the best minimalist music of the decade. I think that there's an argument made for that. I don't listen to enough minimalist music to make that. I enjoy music with like meaning and that is good.
Hmm.
Um, this is why I listen to
That take.
jazz.
That take. You listen to music with meaning. Ew.
I listen to music with lyrics. Ew.
What
You
are
listen
you?
to
What
music
are
in
you? A
English. Ew.
literary podcaster?
Man, I love literary stuff. That's why I only listen to video game OST. um, no, so we create music that works in any situation and is minimalist and yet feels so intensely correct in any situation. And to me, this is accomplished through two things. One is accomplished through very, again, functional harmony. The Wet Hands is made entirely of chords in A major.
Hmm.
That said, it does not follow every harmonic convention. The song is just kind of like a meditation between A and D, A and D.
Hmm.
And then at some point, it goes into the B section, and again, it's a B minor, F sharp minor, B minor, F sharp. That's all in A major, but it's not moving in the direction that like a blues song in A major would. There is a five chord, that final climax of the song before it kind of fades out is it goes to the five chord, goes to an E chord, all functional, but
Hmm.
nothing moving you too much, nothing creating too much of a narrative, so that if that E chord happens to hit when I'm doing something mundane, like maybe I've already found the diamonds and now I'm walking back up the mine, it doesn't feel like it's misplaced. Whereas if it was a lot more of a, dramatic climax, it might start to feel out of place because, hey, I already found the diamonds. Why are you being so dramatic? The other thing that C418 does that I think is really genius, and this is why Minecraft music is so nostalgic, is because C418 puts in a lot of his songs very specific and recognizable harmonic tags. One thing that he likes to do is he will throw a flat 7 major chord into a lot of songs. And you can hear it in Wet Hands, and you can hear it in Sweden. It doesn't necessarily have to serve the same harmonic function each time. The flat 7 major chord is essentially like a deceptive resolution. I think is how I would describe it. That when you get to it, it kind of surprises you.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting it to go one way, and it says it goes somewhere else into the flat 7 major chord. It's a non-diatonic chord, but it's intensely recognizable, and it's found in a lot of C418's music.
Yeah.
And so that is why some 10 years later, the music is so simple and it has such recognizable harmonic tags. When you hear it, you immediately know a Minecraft song. And it's not just because you probably have a memory of hearing that song while doing something, and it's causing it to come out of your brain. It's that there are these little sticky tags in there that you don't hear in other songs that you do hear here. You were talking about, what's that BS anime song that you sent me?
Okay, let's talk about that in a second.
Well, no, what's that song?
Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari.
Yeah, I was telling you beforehand. There is, at one point in the transition between like the chorus and the verse, or what I assume is the chorus and the verse, a very noticeable chord, which evokes the past memories I have of dramatic shifts between choruses and verses. The thing it makes me think of is how Elton John's "I'm Still Standing" has that one big hit as it goes from as it modulates from minor to major, when it goes from "I'm still standing, da 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 da, you should never da 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 da."
So I think
like
like the perfect example of this, if you listen to Dry Hands at 18 seconds, the song for the first like 18 seconds is very quiet. It's very down tempo, and then that one loud chord clearly ringing through the song and comes on, and you're like, that is the Minecraft chord. This is Minecraft. It's not until that chord comes up that it's just like an instant recognition. You feel it. You know it intuitively. And so yeah, I think that this is like, in all of the soundtrack, this is like the perfect example of what you're saying with a very recognizable harmonic tag. It's clear as day.
Well, it's funny because this Minecraft chord is literally just a root position A major chord. But notice that it also has something to make it recognizable. It's got that distorted upright piano sound. The C418's music is simple. It doesn't compromise on its ability to be versatile. And yet each song always manages to have something unique in it. It always manages to have something that is instantly recognizable. Here it's the piano sample. Other places it's the maybe it's the chord arpeggio that that da na 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 na. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's the flat 7 chord, but it's always got something. And because of that, when you listen to it, I don't necessarily buy that I've never heard Minecraft music, but this just sounds so nostalgic. I think that that's just somber music. It makes us feel kind of somber because we're all depressed and
that's fair.
Up. But I think that that's why when you go through there, people say like, wow, this brings back so many memories. It's because all that is there is things to bring back memories. There's no fluff. There's no drum track. There's no lyrics that you don't remember. It is literally only things that call back to primal parts of your young memories. This music is just like compressed nostalgia being injected like
Nostalgia
heroin
bait.
into your veins. No, but I mean, actually, it is nothing. It is nothing but nostalgia, and it's not like C418 made it that way. He didn't say, "Oh, your kids are gonna love this," um, but he was a very talented composer. What he managed to do was
Okay.
only put in. He got to the essence of minimalism, which is that he only did things that were necessary, and it just so happened when that music became famous, what is necessary becomes what is recognizable, becomes what makes us nostalgic.
That is a very fair point. But in terms of what we were talking about earlier with simplicity and the ability of a child to project whatever they want onto a simple song, and the minimalism allowing any events to occur in the game, and then consequently for you to put any emotions you want onto the song, depending on the context that you hear the song. This, do you think that this inherently just invokes the childish imaginative energy within you,
Um,
and therefore it is nostalgic as well, like inherently, like it harkens back to a time when you would project the emotions onto the song.
I mean, it most certainly could, but that's what I was saying, that the music is easily recognizable. It is distinct in a way that our brains can compartmentalize and call it easily. But I mean, I I mostly played Minecraft on Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
and our sound didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play Minecraft with sound 90% of the time I played Minecraft. I'm still nostalgic for the music because of how powerful it is to be remembered, not necessarily because I have all of these memories of projecting onto said music.
Not that
Does
you're
that make
projecting
sense?
memories, that you're projecting that you feel like you can project anything onto it. Like you can project any emotion onto the music because it's custom made to be able to project any
Hmm.
emotion onto the music.
It's funny, I was talking about this. When I was younger, I thought that the music had meaning. Like, or certain
wait, wait,
sound
wait, wait,
effects.
wait. There's a joke. When you were younger, you thought that art had meaning.
Yeah, when I was younger, I did think art had meaning. No, but like when Dry Hands would play, I distinctly remember thinking, "Oh, that means that there's a monster here." Just because I would hear it in a
Ah,
cave,
okay.
and I was like, "Oh God, there's probably a witch or something." And then there was a witch, and so ever since then, I thought that like the it's kind of it's the triumph of that music is that because it is so easy to project onto, we can form our own relationships with it.
Yeah.
Some of those songs are, it's, for some people, Dry Hands is the song of the sun coming up as they stand on the balcony of the house that they built with their brother
Yeah.
while they played Minecraft. For me, Dry Hands was the song of being in a dark cave with no torches because you couldn't figure out how to make sticks.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I played Minecraft without knowing how to make sticks.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the song Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari. It is, if you scroll down to the comments of this song, you can see a lot of people saying that they feel nostalgic even though they are hearing it for the first time and have never seen what it's from. And I definitely felt the same way when I was when I first listened to this song like 2 years ago. Since this actually, like, empirically, without in the Minecraft influence, is shown to invoke some kind of nostalgia, even though there's nothing concretely nostalgic about it. What can you tell us about how this song evokes that in a music theory perspective?
uh, there's a couple of things that I think could be causing it. The song is very functional. It's very directive. It's emotional. It moves its instrumentation very clearly tells a story, even though I do not know what the words are saying. You've got those distinctive climaxes and plot points in between verse and chorus and pre-chorus and stuff. These parts where the music drops out and you just hear the piano chords doing something. It's all stuff that harkens back to musical storytelling that we've been hearing for years. And then there's the way that the song just like sounds, the vocal timbre almost. The singer of this song has that sort of tear in her voice, to coin the term from American guitarist Robbie Robertson, where she's not necessarily singing something upsetting, but you hear a twinge of something in her voice, a twinge of like, maybe I'm
the singer sounds
maybe
nostalgic.
I'm coming from a bad place. But that's it. It's that the aesthetics of the song harken back to things that we've heard before. There was the term coined by some early 2000s music critics called Hauntology, which was used to kind of like talk about electronic music, which would say that we have nostalgia for aesthetics that we hear, and that can manifest itself in music that we've never heard before. If we are nostalgic for the VHS, then a song, a lo-fi hip-hop song that has a random VHS filter thrown over it will feel nostalgic, even though there's no reason for it to be that way. It's just the actual aesthetic makes us feel nostalgic. And this is almost like a less electronic version of that. The functional harmony, the voice that sounds like a like almost like a dramatic song from a movie that I would have seen when I was younger. The very clear story direction that follows story beats in songs that we've heard before all combines to make this song, which is very inoffensively made. There's nothing maybe necessarily pointed about it, unique about it, that's going to stick in your head. All it does is become a vessel for nostalgia. Not to say the song is boring, but it's like C418 in the sense that there's nothing there that immediately pokes out at you and says, ah yes, this is a C418 song. However, there are things that make you associate with it. In C418, it's that flat 7 chord. In this song, it's the way that, to accentuate harmonic changes, the instrumentation will drop out and you'll just have the piano making those jumps. You see what I mean here?
Yes. What is it about the music dropping out and only hearing the piano that is part of that? What is this aesthetic that it's capturing?
It is making it very clear to the listener. It's making it a lot easier to at least in my interpretation, associate the pattern. It can be difficult sometimes with a lot of moving parts to hear resolutions in songs.
Mm-hmm.
By stripping out the instrumentation, it becomes very easy for an untrained ear to recognize it. It's why it's a lot easier to recognize similar sounding singer-songwriter music than it might be to recognize similar sounding classical music.
Mm-hmm.
Or in rap music, a sampled piece is a lot easier than a classical piece, which will actually sample passages of other classical works, because that's been a long-standing tradition. But with all these moving parts, it's harder for an untrained ear to maybe pick that out. So by stripping back the instrumentation, by making the piano very loud in the mix, and by accentuating those moves from verse to chorus, it really makes it easy for the listener to say, ah yes, this reminds me of a Hannah Montana song. And it's funny to say, oh, this is just Hannah Montana, but no, it really is calling back to those kind of like uplifting / introspective Disney Channel, Disney movie,
like a fairy tale
songs. Yeah, fairy tale songs that people would put out.
Yeah,
It feels like that Taylor Swift song "Love Story."
It actually does.
Yeah.
That was fine.
but that's my point. Isn't that,
Yeah.
that song is uplifting, but there's that little bit of pain in her voice. She's like, oh, when your dad said no, this is kind of hurting me, but Romy, but very obvious transition. Romeo, save me. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, I think even without hearing the lyrics.
Screaming.
What the? Those weren't even screams. It was just like extreme screech. Did that actually scream?
I don't know what that was.
Okay. I think even without understanding the lyrics, the singer is just the way that they're singing is very wistful, and very much like they're recounting a fairy tale in some way. It's just like it's like hopeful for perfection. Like you told me about this word Sehnsucht, which is a German word that some psychologists use to represent thoughts and feelings about facets of life that are unfinished or imperfect, paired with a yearning for ideal alternative experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Wikipedia too. Yes.
I think this song sort of evokes that feeling of like longing for perfection, because that's what a fairy tale is. A fairy tale, oh god, escapism again. A fairy tale is a piece of escapist art that we lose ourselves in, wishing that our lives was like that fairy tale. And so the singer is sort of wistfully dreaming that she was in such a fairy tale, and that is, and as children, we heard fairy tales, and so that is why it's nostalgic.
I'm gonna send you a song. Listen to it and tell me if it feels nostalgic.
Oh, to be home again, down in old Virginia, with my very best friend. They call him Ragtime Willie.
It sounds the aesthetic that it feels like it's dipping into is a kind of campfire songs, and I am not sure I would say that is a nostalgic aesthetic.
Excellent. And why not?
Campfire songs. Okay, this is a wild theory that I am pulling out of my ass. Campfire songs are usually about growing up. They're not as opposed to fairy tales, which are usually about being a child teleported to another world in some way or something. Like they and so when you hear a campfire song, you sort of feel like you're 21, going on some grand adventure on your own, braving the world. It's what a child wishes. It's what a child wants to be. It's what a child will grow up to be. And so this is like the opposite of nostalgic. It's like, I do not know how to describe this. It's like the opposite of nostalgic.
Here's my theory, and here's how I wanted to show this to you.
Okay.
I, as a kid, was much more embroiled in, I want to say, traditional American stories than I think you were.
Mm-hmm.
My dad talked about Daniel Boone and Teddy Roosevelt and pioneer stories and Abraham Lincoln, classic American literature from the time that I would have been reading fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things. I mean, I'm not going to say that the secret to having a smart kid is to read funny books to him, but I'm sure some of it is an intellectual capacity, but I think a lot of it is from a very early age being exposed to more advanced literature. I do not think that you were. I think that you maybe had a much more traditional childhood when it comes to exposure to things like fairy tales and newer music, and that more metropolitan culture that doesn't necessarily cause you to always resonate with American aesthetics.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were definitely like children of the 80s and 90s. They were this was like the birth of punk rock and emo. And so
Yeah.
that's the kind of genres that I listened to as a kid. Was
So aren't your parents immigrants, or is that?
my dad is.
Yeah, your dad's not even American. Like,
I can't, he grew up in America.
Oh yeah, your dad's a. Okay, I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna cut that
That's
part out.
a lib.
Yeah, your dad's a liberal. He immigrated to this country. Legal immigrants. You will address me as sir.
But yeah, there's definitely emo and punk rock are kind of countercultural in a way, and so yeah,
Here's why I say this.
Very little exposure to that.
Here's why I say this. That song, Rocking Chair, is deeply indebted to the cultural memory that also inspired the art that my dad showed me. It is the cultural memory of the environment, the aesthetic environment in which your parents created for you at a young age, was not deeply indebted to Americana in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
However, this Monogatari song very much is indebted to punk rock and singer-songwriter, which is an aesthetic that you were in. The reason I say this is because I want to ask you, what piece of cultural memory is C418 indebted to?
Well, the easy answer is classical music.
The answer is Minecraft. And it doesn't make sense because it's like retroactive. But what cultural memory is that music indebted to, if not Minecraft? And that is the triumph of Minecraft's music, is that it has managed to create an aesthetic that seems to precede it and yet only comes from it. You do not need to have a musical background to appreciate Minecraft music. Whereas in order to appreciate the music of Skyrim, you have to come from a culture which applies drama to choral singing. If you don't have that, then the means nothing to you. You're just like, why are these people all vocalizing?
Okay.
You don't need that for Minecraft music. End of episode.